Well, of course, the very first impression is Jose was this recent arrival from Spain, an immigrant, of course, somebody who barely spoke English. He was coming from California. He was confused, of course, coming to a new land. And again, the fact that as soon as he arrived, he would stop by the concession stand at the airport to buy a Snickers just so that he wouldn't arrive empty-handed was something that stayed with me. I thought it was a nice gesture then. I still remind him of that to this day, and he's always been that type of person.
You know, I've known Jose in many facets. I know him as a personal friend. I know him as somebody who's worked as a diplomat. I think the best way to describe him is as an entrepreneurial philanthropist. You know, in development work, they say, the old adage is, you should never just give a man a fish. You should teach him how to fish. That way he eats for the rest of his life. If you take a look at how Jose structures his engagement with all of the philanthropic activities that he has, it's always in a means of teaching people to become self-sustaining, to dream beyond themselves, whether it's DC Central Kitchen, whether it's his cook stove projects, whether it's the school in Haiti that he's set up and run to teach young Haitians how to cook and how to use cooking and restaurants as a means for social mobility. He really is a philanthropist, but he doesn't need to write big checks. What he needs to do is keep on being that entrepreneurial model for so many people who could achieve the same dream he did of making it big.
I think the legacy that Jose Andres is seeking to build is one where his art, his passion, his profession, gastronomy, relates to and is linked to other important issues in society. Whether it's how you integrate refugees and immigrants into society successfully, whether it's how do you give back to communities that have been stricken by disaster, how do you create new paradigms for how we feed ourselves and how we grow the produce that we eat. I think Jose is one of those trailblazer chefs that is trying to go beyond just what they started doing in the first place, which was cooking and cooking great food, but linking the important role that food and gastronomy play in our societies in the 21st century.
I remember when we were very young, probably in our early 20s, we're about the same age, we're in our early 20s, and I remember one day he came to me and said he had met Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. He had stopped by Jaleo, which was where Jose was working back then, and they struck a conversation and they struck a friendship. And for an early 20 person to be talking to someone like Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan was no small thing. And of course, I was always impressed and amazed by Jose's ability to do that. Then of course you fast forward 20 plus years and he's being honored at the White House by President Obama. And that to me is one of Jose's accomplishments, that he has been able to relate to this political power and use it for good causes, in particular for the causes of immigration, for the causes of health. So that's what I think of Jose's accomplishments.
I think probably the best way to put it is being with Jose is like catching lightning in a jar. The guy walks into a room, he lights it up, everybody wants a piece of him. He's got 2 or 3 cell phones going. He seems to know everybody. He seems to know what's going on everywhere. And people just feel privileged to be around him and to feel that pulsing energy, because it's almost always dedicated towards something that's good and towards something that's fun.